Welcome to Making Sense of Jamaica. In this video, I'm going to share my 23andMe results. In 2022, I ordered a DNA test kit, a 23andMe DNA test kit from Amazon, and sent samples, my DNA samples, to their US labs via FedEx. Now, 23andMe is more health and pharmaceuticals oriented. It's less genealogy, or they're less focused on genealogy, but it's still very useful for genealogy. So let's get started. I'm going to show you my ancestry composition. I find my ancestry very boring, but it is fairly typical for St. Elizabeth. According to this, 58% of my ancestors came from Europe and 41.1 from Africa, sub-Saharan African. And then I've trace ancestry on a sign. So I would say just 58-42. I have a little more African ancestry than I expected. I didn't know whether I'd have like 20 or 50, but yeah, 42 is a little more than I expected, but it's cool. I always identified as mixed or black, depending on who I was talking to. On that note, throughout my life, people with less diverse, who have maybe less diverse racial backgrounds than I do, often speculated on my race. I will say I wish I had this back then because, there's nothing better to be able to clap back with facts. Growing up in Canada, the majority demographic group mistook me for Indian a lot. And by Indian, I mean East Indian, not Canada's First Nations. I've been called Paki more than any other racial slur. If you are lucky enough to not know the term, it's a derogatory term for South Asians. In Canada, low intelligence members of the majority demographic group often use the term on brown-skinned people from places like India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, and me. If you've never heard the term before, I'm happy for you. Now, better educated and more liberal, but still low intelligence members of the aforementioned demographic group often tried to show me they're not racist by making out of the blue comments like, that Indian restaurant downstairs is really good. Of course, this would usually happen at school or at work, and they're not completely at fault for their low intelligence, so I'd refrain from rolling my eyes and just play along with a response like, oh really? I like Indian food. I'll have to try it out sometime. Thanks for the tip. Fool. Now, 23andMe, as you can see here, it doesn't show any Indian ancestry at all. In Western Canada, South Asians were a much larger minority group than we were, and as visible minorities, we wound up together sometimes. In all my contact with people from that part of the world, none of them ever mistook me for one of their own. Okay, so also one surprise here is this Honduras ancestry. When you look at the map, I mean, I have two fourth cousins on the Bay Islands Department of Honduras. So there must have been some movement between the Bay Islands and Jamaica. There's no indigenous blood apparent, but this is interesting. It'll take some research effort to make a connection as to what kind of movement there was between the Bay Islands Department and Jamaica. So, going back to the home page, it says Ancestry Timeline. How many generations ago was your most recent ancestor for each population? One thing I find is Spanish and Portuguese. That's kind of interesting. That would go back to 1730. I'm not sure what to make of that. Indigenous American, that's interesting. Could some of my African ancestors have mated with someone who is Taino, maybe? It says you most likely had a fourth great-grandparent, fifth great-great-grandparent, sixth great-grandparent, or seventh great-grand, yeah, going way back. So anyway, someday I'll figure out what this means, hopefully. Parental inheritance and DNA painting I didn't find useful, so we're just going to skip over that. DNA relatives. Some people question the accuracy of these testing services. I can say that I know four out of the first five, the closest five relatives, and the strength of relationship is spot on. I have roughly 30 first and second cousins on 23andMe, and I think about 400 third cousins, most of whom I do not know, and then another 2,000 fourth cousins. So it's mostly accurate, but I did notice that one of my third cousins should have been a second cousin. But nearly all closer relatives I've browsed around, for the third and fourth cousins who I mostly don't know, and they all have Jamaican ancestry. So that would indicate that it's accurate. It would also indicate that my people have been in Jamaica for a while. Let's move on to family tree. So this was done automatically. Now on the left side, I have a great grandmother who is believed to have had left her children and gone to Panama after her husband died of typhoid fever. She was never heard from again. I suspect this left side of my tree may be descendants of maybe one of her uncles or aunts or something. Now the right side are supposedly descendants of great grandparents and great great grandparents on my father's side. I've never heard of, apart from my first cousin and her two sons. I've never heard of any of the people on the right side. Now the map is what you would expect from most Jamaicans would, have a relatives map that look like this. Lots in England, lots in the United States, lots of relatives in Canada, and of course lots in Jamaica and the Caymans. So next, I'm going to show you my health predisposition. It's not genealogy related, but so age-related macular degeneration, variant detected, not likely at increased risk. Not sure what to make of this. I do have a lot of relatives who have had various types of eye surgery. So I'm not surprised if and I also used to wear glasses, so I'm not surprised if this isn't surprising to me at all. Anxiety, increased likelihood. Well, more people have high blood pressure in my family than not. Chronic kidney disease. Variant detected. Now, I should probably be taking care of my kidneys if if that's what this means. One of my cousins died of COVID, or who died of COVID. I think was missing a kidney from he was quite young. I never knew him, so I never really knew the details. Severe acne, increased likelihood. Yeah, most definitely. I've had acne since I was a teenager, or even before that. And skin cancer, increased likelihood. This I find interesting. I've never heard of anybody having skin cancer in my family, but it's something to keep an eye on. Wellness. I expected more useful information, which foods to avoid, or something useful like that. But so alcoholic flush reaction, unlikely to flush. Caffeine consumption, likely to consume more. I used to drink coffee, but not heavily, like not more than 1 or 2 cups per day. But I stopped drinking both alcohol and coffee several years ago. Now, cat allergies, I do find interesting because I am allergic to cats, but it says I have a typical likelihood, so maybe that's 50-50. Deep sleep, less likely to be a deep sleeper. I'm the worst sleeper. I rarely ever get, if I get 6 hours in one night, I'm doing good. Dog allergy, nah, not that I know of. Genetic weight, predisposed to weigh about average. That is true. My body mass index is always like right where it should be for someone my height. Lactose intolerance. Yes, I drink a lot of milk. I used to drink a lot of milk. Muscle composition, common in elite power athletes. Now, this I find interesting. I like doing physical activity, but I never saw myself as a great athlete. I just saw myself, you know, when I got respect on court, it was just, hard work, skill building. But I do like doing physical work, always did. Nearsightedness, typical likelihood. Yeah, this is interesting because I guess I wore glasses for about 15 years until I had laser surgery to correct them. This may suggest that my nearsightedness was caused by bad habits or poor eye care. Saturated fat and weight. I don't know what those are. Seasonal allergies, increased likelihood. Yeah, I've got allergies. And sleep movement, likely more than average. As I said before, terrible sleeper. So let's go to traits. Don't have much to say about these. Yeah, these are just things like, whether you have a bald spot or dandruff or earwax, eye color, hair type, stuff like that. It's trivia, and it's interesting to know, but not, I didn't find it very useful. So I purchased the 23andMe, the most expensive kit, which currently runs $169. The reason I did is because it has enhanced ancestry features. I'll have to. I mean, this one says ancestry plus traits, which they're kind of pushing this one for genetic genealogy, or people who are interested in genetic genealogy. But I got this one, and I'm going to show you why. Here we go. Okay, so enhance ancestry features. Notice that, well, sorry, this one has it, but the other two don't. So that's why I went for the most expensive one. I added a link to this kit, the one that I recommend in the description, along with the Ancestry DNA kit that I purchased. So that's it. I will be doing more videos on genetic genealogy, so subscribe if you're interested. My next video will be Ancestry DNA, my Ancestry DNA results. If you know someone who you think might be interested in my videos, please share this video with them or my channel. If you have any helpful comments or corrections, please leave them below. And so that's it for this video. See you in the next one if you come back. Bye for now.